When walking through the woods, you might spot a big boxing blue blob named Goopy Le Grande. Today, guys, we're going to be drawing this fierce and cute little character from Cuphead, Don't Deal with the Devil. Let's get started. Go ahead and sketch a big circle in the center of the paper. Make sure you are leaving enough room off to the left. This is where we're going to make his left arm and also his boxing glove. Now, when sketching circles, I use rough curved lines, and I just kind of sketch them together, and I keep going with this until I get a circle that I'm satisfied with. Now, of course, you're going to have some hairy sketch lines, so make sure you erase those, because those will interfere when you're making the facial features. But other than that, you don't really have to do much erasing. This is a rough sketch after all, so being overly neat is unnecessary here. Make sure you are making a big enough circle to where we're going to place his big set of teeth, tongue, and eyes, because those are very big defining features for Goopy Le Grande. And you want to make sure that we get those in. Now, go towards the top of the circle, and we're going to make the eye line. Just go ahead and make a curved line going all the way across the circle. Then make a center line that is going to go towards the left a little bit. As you can see, the right side is going to be bigger. Now you can see that our circle is separated into 4 tiles. This is going to help us map out the facial features of Goopy Le Grande. Now I'm going to go to the top of our center line and then make a curve going downwards. This is where we're going to put his left eye. And then at the bottom of the eye line, we're going to make a little cheekbone right there. Make sure you curve on the top to finish off that left brow right there. Now we're just kind of molding the blob because he's not a perfect circle. He has some features here and there. As you can see, I'm making a curve downwards, and this is where I'm going to flesh out his left eye. It's pretty simple. It's kind of like a half egg, if you will. Now I'm starting to flesh out his lip area, which make a long curved line going across the circle and upwards to the right. Make another curved line going down. This is where we're going to be fleshing out his mouth. Go all the way down towards the bottom. Curve it a bit right there. I'm going to finish off his mouth like so. And in the middle of our cross that we made, we're going to make his little nose, which is just a oval, a sideways oval. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did for the left eye. Just make a curve at the bottom and make a half egg shape. This time it's going to be a little bit bigger. It's on the right side. It's on the right side, so it's going to be more exposed. And this is where we're going to flesh out more of the top of his head with the little brow on top. Erasing any intersecting lines that are messing with me. But like I said, you don't need to do too much erasing here. This is a rough sketch, so mistakes are welcome. Now he has a little bit of a tail on top, so just make a little tail right there. right beside his right brow. Now this is where you can go ahead and erase that cross, because we don't really need it anymore. We already made the mouth and the eyes. So now that we got the basic features mapped out, we don't need that cross anymore. Erase any hairy sketch lines you see anywhere. Now go ahead, go downwards, and make a nice curved line. This is going to be his toothy smile we're making. Again, erase any hairy lines you see there. But you can be messy. This is a sketch after all. I'm adjusting his mouth. Now, if your circle is a little bit too big or too small, you could always adjust it. This is where I'm going to be fleshing out the lower lip. And of course, you want to erase that side line right there. It's no longer needed. Now it's time to flesh out his teeth. Now, when making Goopy Le Grande's teeth, you want to make sure that they're big. You don't want them to have skinny chompers, because they'll just look weird. If you ever saw Goopy Le Grande, his teeth are really big. But if you want to give him skinny teeth, that's up to you. I bet you'll make him look cool regardless. So what I did here, I used 4 lines to make a set of 5 teeth. Now going from left to right, the left tooth is going to be the smallest one out of the bunch, and the 3 in the middle are going to be the biggest, and the one off to the right is of course going to be cut off by the corner of his mouth. Now on the top of the little lines we made, make small little black triangles, only on the top though, and on the corner of his mouth make a nice little chubby stretch of skin to emphasize that big goofy smile of his. Now let's go ahead and make his gigantic tongue. This is pretty simple. Imagine just making 2 hills that are going to be overlapping each other. The second hill is going to be smaller than the left one. Here I'm fleshing out some certain detailing, just sharpening up my lines a bit. And now we're getting to the eyes, those classic Pac-Man eyes. You want to make the left eye to where it's touching the side of the egg shape we made. And the other Pac-Man eye is going to be facing the other direction with its mouth. And it's going to be in the center of the eye. Now I'm going to go ahead and make some very villainous eyebrows. Some very curvy eyebrows. Of course, at the bottom they're going to have that little hook right there. And do the same treatment. Make sure these eyebrows are close to each other. Now, you don't have to kill yourself when making this, when making a character very super accurate. Honestly, I think you should go ahead and add your own identity to a sketch and just kind of work from that. Because no artist is going to, sketch a certain character the same way. You don't want to stay 100% accurate to it. You just kind of want to add your own little identity to it. And just your own flair, if you will. Now I'm going to shade my Pac-Man eyes. Sharpening the outlines of the Pac-Man pupils. Now his eyebrows are going to be brown, so you don't really need to color them black. But if you're just going to leave a lead-based drawing, I probably would recommend maybe shading them in with a medium shade. But since we're going to be coloring them, you don't need to do anything to them right now. Now, of course, go down to his mouth. Once you're done shading in the eyes, go ahead and shade his mouth as well. Make sure you're not applying too much pressure to the paper because you will make it look really shiny, and we don't really want that. It's kind of a distracting effect. And also, I would recommend when drawing anything is that you leave a piece of paper behind the paper that you're going to be drawing on, so it doesn't really make any outlines on the other pieces of paper. Now going towards the bottom, we're going to go ahead and kind of flatten out the bottom area of his body. So I'm just going to make a kind of a flattened curve right there. Kind of just molding a base for him, pretty much. But you don't want it really sharp. You still want it round because he still is a blob after all. So make sure you are using some soft edges for this guy, except for the teeth, of course, and the Pac-Man eyes. Just doing some final adjustments here before we get into the boxing glove part, which is a pretty fun detail to make on this guy. So, have you ever fought Goopy Le Grande before in Cuphead? Let me know. When I first fought him, he was a pretty tough guy, but once you get his pattern down, he was pretty easy to beat. Pretty much like, you know, all the bosses in Cuphead. Except for the bird. I hate that bird so much. So yeah, Cuphead is a very challenging game. I'm glad that I picked it up. It's a really fun experience. So if you got this far in the video, let me know your experiences with Cuphead, and especially with Goopy Le Grande. I think he's one of the more unique bosses in Cuphead because you're not really sure what he is. Yeah, he's a blue blob, but, you know, at least all the other characters are kind of, you know, easy to know what they are, you know, like the genie and the bird and the dragon. But this guy is a little bit more unique. He's just a blob. Simple, but still unique, at least to me. Now let's make his left arm and his boxing glove. Let's start off with the boxing glove first. Go to his teeth and left cheek and make a oval shape. And then more off to the left, we're going to make a big circle. This is going to be the main body of the boxing glove, so make sure it is a decent size. Now I'm going down and curving downwards, finishing off the little boxing glove here. Go ahead and make the little sleeve of it down at the bottom. And then make a curve going away from that little base to his teeth. And make another curve on the other side, connecting to his lower lip. Go ahead and erase that little intercepting line right there from his thumb. And make a little fold right there. And bam, we have a pretty intimidating boxing glove. Now once we're done with the sketch, we're going to use a fine point Sharpie and trace the entire drawing and erase any leftover pencil lines. We do this in order to make the drawing kind of pop out more when we color it, and also make it more neater, because when you just add colored pencil to pencil lines, it looks a little bit messy. So here is an overview of the sketch. Now before you color, go ahead and take a look at the description. I'll list all of the colors that you need for this drawing, which aren't many actually. There's probably 4 colors at the maximum. So for the first color, we're going to color his skin. Now I used a light blue, and I kind of started off with a medium base tone and worked my way up until I got a bright shade of blue. Now, don't go too fast or apply too much pressure to your colored pencil, because it will add this very distracting shining effect like I mentioned before. So you don't want that. You want to be patient when coloring. Like I said, start from a medium base tone and then work your way up to a brighter base tone. You'll see here soon that he gets a little brighter, but not to where it's really blinding, because I'm not adding a lot of pressure to my pencil. I'm just applying darker shades of light blue as I go. So this is a pretty big guy, so make sure that you are filling in those uncolored spaces. We want to evoke a lot of life into our fun little 1930s cartoon character here. So make sure you are giving him a generous amount of lively blue. So color it as if you are coloring a coloring book. You want to stay within the lines, and not color the tongue with a light blue. But if you want to experiment a bit, you can do whatever you want. It's fine. I heard that blue tongues are pretty trendy today. Not really. Sorry, I lied to you. So now we're going to use a regular red colored pencil, and we're going to color his tongue. Like I said before, just like with the skin, just start off with a medium base tone and then work your way up. His tongue and boxing glove are also going to be bright colors. And also don't forget his little Rudolph-like nose. And the same thing for his boxing glove. Now on the top of his boxing glove, there's a little shine effect. So you'll see me kind of outline the inner part of the boxing glove with red. That's just kind of an indication for me to where I'm going to place the shine effect on his glove. Of course, I'm using very rectangular methods when coloring, because I want to kind of narrow the rectangular shine effect that I'm going to make. And once you get a decent size, a rectangle, which is going to be bent at an angle, you're good there. And then I use a regular brown colored pencil for his eyebrows. So for shading, I use a darker shade of light blue to color around his lips, and also his cheek, teeth, and eyes, and around his eyebrows as well, and of course his little tail on the top of his head. It really makes the drawing pop when you shade, so I do recommend doing that. And we also apply the same treatment for his tongue and his boxing glove. You don't really have to do it for his nose. I think his nose is bright enough. It's not really warrants any shading there. But make sure you are using a darker shade of red when shading his tongue and his boxing glove. And of course, for his eyebrows, I use a darker shade of brown, at the bottom of the eyebrows. Now go ahead and get out a gray colored pencil and then shade around the sides of his teeth and also from top to bottom. I also added a good amount of shading to his eyeballs right there. Just kind of fleshing out some shading details for his really big eyes, just to make them pop out even more. Now once you're done coloring and shading, go ahead and get out your fine point Sharpie again, go towards the bottom, and let's just make a simple little skinny circle of shading. I would definitely recommend having a piece of paper behind the paper you are drawing on, just so the Sharpie and colored pencil doesn't really, bleed out to the other page. You don't want to waste perfectly good sketchbook paper, of course, so use a scrap piece of paper and just kind of fill in that shadow right there. Now you really don't have to do this, but it's just an extra detailing of effort and love. So once you're done sketching, coloring, and shading your fierce blue blob, the final result of your hard work and effort is a menacing Goopy Le Grande from the game Cuphead, Don't Deal with the Devil. So guys, be sure to recommend any other bosses from the video game Cuphead or any other characters in video games in general, and I will see you in the next video. Press Start to Draw, signing off.